students to the ninth week of management concept. We are discussing organizing as one of the important functions of management. In the last session, we were discussing the various factors affecting the span of control. Today, we are going to have a look at the different types of span of control. Basically, there are two types of span of control, namely narrow span of control and the wide span of control. The narrow span of control is a situation in which an organization's span of control can be determined by the number of employees reporting to the manager or supervisor. A narrow span of control refers to a structure with the few employees reporting to the manager. On the contrary, the wide span of control means a single manager or supervisor who oversees a large number of subordinates. This gives rise to a flat structure. You can see from this picture that in case of the narrow span of control, manager is handling only two employees. On the contrary, you will see in wide span of control, the manager will be handling more number of employees. There are relative advantages and disadvantages of the narrow span of control and the wide span of control. We can have a quick look at the advantages of the narrow span of control. We can say in simple words that a narrow span of control increases the level of contact between the manager and members of the team in an organization. The increased contact improves the ability to supervise activities carried out by the employees effectively, which may increase the productivity of the organization. Also, the team members can easily access the supervisor for any kind of assistance if required in day-to-day functioning of the organization. And moreover, there is enhanced communication which helps in faster decision making and the problem solving at all levels of the organization. And a narrow span of control enhances the communication between the supervisor and the team members in such a way that things become easier. The other side of the narrow span of control says that a narrow span of control may be expensive. Why it will be expensive? Because implementing part or the implementation depends on the number of teams in the organization. A narrow span of control may limit the ability of the team members to exercise independence in decision making and problem solving processes. Looking at the wider span of control, we find here that there are more employees under the control of the manager. So it shows that the span of control is wider in coverage. There are relative advantages and disadvantages of the uh, wide span of control. In case of the wide span of control, staff are empowered to make their own decisions and carry out their own tasks without influence by the managers. Less managers are required and wages are saved in case of the wide span of control. Also, less level of communication for the decision to pass through is required. High quality staff should exist in case of the wide span of control. There are a few disadvantages of the wide span of control, which says that the subordinates may make decisions they are not trained to make sometimes because of the wide span of control. Managers may make snap decisions as they are looking after too many employees at a time, and Manager's time will be at a premium in such kind of situation because he is handling many people, cannot entertain every person individually, and managers will have less time for planning in such kind of situation. Also, we can see that the one thing that is very important to conclude, we can say that in case of the choice of the wide span of control or the narrow span of control, we can say that it all depends upon the size of organization. When a large number of employees are working, then of course things will be different. Students, before we conclude the span of control, I will want you to understand one important theory of span of control given by an expert whose name is V.M. Gray-Kunas. There is a Gray-Kunas theory of span of control. His theory identified relationship prevailing between the superiors and subordinates, which are classified into three groups. Very simple to understand, very simple to explain. Here, these three groups are simply easily understandable. These are the direct single relationship, direct group relationship, and cross relationships in the organization. This direct single relationship is a relationship in which the superior has direct link with the subordinates. In case of the direct group relationship, this kind of relationship arises between the manager and the group of subordinates, not as an individual. Cross relationship is simply relationship among subordinates in an organization. Now, a very important thing that needs focus is that deciding the number of subordinates. What should be the basis on which the number of subordinates should be chosen? Classical writers have suggested 3 to 8 subordinates as an ideal number for the purpose of span of control. Gray-Kunas has given mathematical formula for the number of subordinates in the organization. Obviously, when the number of subordinates is being calculated with the help of a formula, it means that it will be a kind of ideal situation. It will be a win-win situation for the organization that we are choosing an appropriate number of subordinates to be supervised by a superior. According to Gray-Kunas, as the number of subordinates increases arithmetically, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., the number of relationship which the superior has to control increases geometrically, like 1, 6, 18, 44, 100, 244, etc. I will tell you how this number is to be calculated, how it increases geometrically, how it increases arithmetically. This is a very important point to understand, students, so that a kind of proper number of subordinates could be supervised by each individual. Let us take, first of all, the direct single relationship. You see the picture right side, there is one superior and 3 subordinates. This kind of relationship arises from the direct individual contact of the superior with his subordinates. Thus, if there are 3 subordinates, 1, 2, 3, under one supervisor, you can say, in other words, that there will be 3 direct single relationships. Formula which will be used now is simple. N is equal to number of subordinates. See this here. In case of the direct single relationship, what is happening? As per this formula, if you see, N into number of subordinates, N is equal to 3 here in this case. Therefore, the number of subordinates will be 3. No confusion as such. This is a single direct relationship. Calculation is not difficult at all. Formula is simple. And that is the number of subordinates. In this case, there were 3. The number of subordinates 3. This is simple. Simple relationship. See the direct group relationship. Students, here arises more focus. It requires more focus. You can see here a large number of subordinates divided into different kinds of groups. It is the relationship that arises between a manager and the group of subordinates in an organization. The supervisor has to manage his or her group relations between each group of individuals. Pictorial presentation tells it very clearly. Sometimes there are 2 persons, sometimes there are 3 persons also. So, with 3 subordinates, supervisor is managing here 9 groups, you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One supervisor is handling 9 groups. Formula, same. And into, within bracket you can see 2 and 1 minus 1 minus 1. See the calculation. This is simple calculation to find out the group relationship formula. And within bracket 2 की power n minus 1 minus 9 minus 1. 3 2 की power 3 minus 1 minus 1. It comes to 3 into 2 power 2 minus 1. That is 3 into 4 minus 1. That is the 3 into 3. Yani 9. So direct group relationship is 9. That's what we can see from this picture also. However, in this group, you can find that there are, if you look at the number of employees, you can find that there are 3 plus 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There are 21 subordinates being managed by one manager. But you find on the basis of the jobs, there has been some classification of the groups, and with the help of this formula, we found that there are 9 groups, not 21 subordinates working under the direct control of a manager. See the third category of relationship, which is cross relationship. Friends, this relationship arises among subordinates themselves working under a manager. You can see here this picture. Manager is there. But the circle that you see, 3 employees are there. Here you have to just pay attention. The supervisor has to manage each individual in a team. So there are in all, you can see 6 relationships within his subordinates. How you can see with the help of this formula? N into n minus 1. See the total relationship. Total number of relationship, you can see the last formula reveals that the possible relationship with the variable number of subordinates rise very rapidly as shown in this table. The formula is there. You see, subordinate 1, number of relationship 1. 2, number of relationships is equal to 3. You can put it in this formula and you find the same values which are written in the right side of this table. It keeps on going from 1 to 6 where the relationships are being increased. When there are 6 subordinates, number of relationships is 221. This is called a cross relationship. Here you can see the calculation. How to solve this? Total number of relationships here in the light of this formula, you can see n into 2 to the power n divided by 2 plus n minus 1. Keep on putting the values. When you simplify this, you will find that the total number of relationships will be 18 only. Very simple calculation. You can do it along with me or you can do it later on also. This is simple mathematical relationship calculation which can be done without any kind of confusion, without any kind of conflict, students. So now we are going to summarize this. What has come out of this discussion? The number of persons and executive supervisors has an important influence on the nature of organizational structure. If the span is large, you know what does it mean? It means that fewer levels are needed in an organization. The structure will lead to flat and wide. Subordinates who are skilled, efficient, knowledgeable, trained, and competent require less supervision. And therefore, the supervisor may have wider span of control, wider span in such cases as compared to inexperienced and untrained subordinates who require greater or more supervision in the organizational setup. So the capacity of a person to supervise and control a large number of persons is also limited on account of time available at his disposal to supervise them. Now, let us have a quick look at some other important aspects of organizing function. I think our discussion will remain incomplete, your knowledge will remain incomplete if we do not throw some light on these aspects in a cursory way. Look at the centralization and decentralization. Two pictures are there in this slide, centralize and decentralize. What is in case of the centralized? You find things are close to each other, not scattered. Seems very close, nearby. In case of decentralized, these things are here in scattered form. Then, in the light of this, we are going to have a look at these important aspects of the organizing function. One is centralization, another one is the decentralization. According to Allen, centralization is the systematic and consistent reservation of authority at central points in the organization. Or in other words, we can say that centralization is the process of systematically maintaining the power and authority in the hands of higher level managers. Because of the centralization, the reservation of the decision making lies at the top level. Reservation of operating authority lies with the middle level managers, and the reservation of operation at lower level at the direction of the top level. This is called centralization. Everything is centered on the top, higher level. Students, just contrary to centralization is the decentralization. According to Allen, decentralization refers to the systematic effort to delegate the lowest level of authority, except that which can be controlled and exercised at the central points. Again, in other words, we can say that decentralization is the process of systematically handing over or assigning the power and authority throughout to middle and the lower level managers. Very simple. Just contrary to what is centralization is the decentralization. Everything that increases the role of subordinates is decentralization. Mind you, in simple words. And that decreases the role in is centralization. Anything that increases the role of subordinates is decentralization, and anything that decreases the role is the centralization. This is the one line, one sentence, or one paragraph meaning of the decentralization, which is very easy to understand. So what happens because of the decentralization? We find that the workload is reduced, the employees will be able to take quick decisions, motivational level of the employees, motivation and morale of the employees will also increase because they will feel some power in them. There will be cordiality, peace, tranquility in the organization because the decentralization brings harmony at the place of work, due to which there is an overall development of the employees working in the organization. Employees will be able to think about the diversification of the products, activities, and the market. Areas or the control will become effective in this kind of system.